But the sun's out, which means it's starting to get warmer here in Wisconsin, which means that I'm gonna start getting more exciting cars once again. Enter the first of the bunch, the 2020 Toyota Camry TRD. Thank you for watching Downshift, where we do car reviews, comparisons, lists, and a whole bunch of nonsense. Make sure you watch the videos all the way through and subscribe, because every year 10% of YouTube revenue goes to the Ocean Conservancy. Let's save those turtles. This TRD trim is new for the Camry for this generation, and today we're going to dive into the 5 best things about it. Alright, so we're behind the wheel of the Camry TRD, and let's send it into a corner because I want to talk about the biggest change and the biggest reason that this car exists. And that's fun and personality. And on that topic, we have to talk about the way that this car handles and performs behind the wheel. This is going to be over ½ an inch lower. You are going to get stiffer sway bars. You are going to get stiffer shocks and springs that are TRD specific. And there's a lot going on under the underbody to firm this thing up, to give you confidence pitching it into a corner like I just was. Another thing you get is a silky smooth 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6, giving you 301 horsepower and 267 pound-feet of torque. It's naturally aspirated, it sounds great, and man, it's a smooth ass V6. In a segment where you really don't get a V6 anymore. And then coming up to a stop sign, we are going to test the brakes because we have increased, wow, those are good. We have increased size rotors, 12.9 inches up front, dual piston calipers, and there's a lot of stopping power to them. And it's not like an excessive amount of bite like you would get in, like an Alfa Romeo, obviously, but it's a nice smooth application. And then you come out of the corner. Once you get right over 4,000 RPM, this thing wakes up, and that's where it likes to live. Here we go. The next thing I want to talk about is exhaust. Because this thing is TRD specific. Again, it's a dual port exhaust and it sounds fantastic. There's a lot of nuance to a naturally aspirated engine and an exhaust system, and these work incredibly well together in this TRD. V6s get a lot of flack about they never sound as good as the V8, and sometimes they don't sound as low as the 4-cylinder, but every once in a while it gets done right, and I think they hit it this time. The induction sound that you get off the engine and then the exhaust spit out the back, it sounds good and it adds to the theater of this car, and if nothing else, that's what this car is about. And I'm so happy to see it, because I would rather have something sporty from Toyota where I know that repairs aren't going to be over the moon expensive, and it's going to be reliable, and it's going to be practical, and I can convince my wife that I should have it, rather than something like a German BMW or an Audi or a Mercedes. So I love the fact that Toyota is going in this direction more. They came out with the GT86, the Supra, which is really a BMW, but that's a different video. But the fact that they're devoting resources and money and just time into developing something for a more, it's not quite there, but leaning towards a more enthusiast market is so fun to see. I want to get an MR2 back. I want to see something with a little bit of personality. Now, staying on the topic of personality, we have to address the looks of this thing. This TRD Camry is one of the most aggressive looking mid-size sedans in the game. More than a BMW, more than a Lexus, more than an Audi, and more than a Mercedes. And it's really due in part to this body kit. We have a really, really cool kind of red flake metallic paint color that's specific to the TRD, and you get all of the black accenting in the front splitter, the darkened grille, some of these running sills along the bumper and the side skirts that go all the way down here. We have some increased kind of aggressive black body lines in the roof, and then the Batman style spoiler in the back. And that's not to mention these awesome TRD wheels that we had on the Avalon as well, but really, really cool. And that's just the outside. Let's talk about the interior here as well, because there's a lot of TRD specific things going on in here as well. Starting with the two-tone, kind of two-material pleather and cloth seats with the red accenting and stitching, the TRD embossed logo up here, Everything looks super aggressive. You have a leather wrapped shift knob here. It's mechanical. It's got the TRD logo embossed. Red stitching here, steering wheel. Everywhere in the cabin is way more dramatic, and there's a lot more theater to the look of it. And you still don't compromise things like back room space. The comfort is good. It's still a Camry, but it's a spicy Camry. And now while we're in the cabin, I want to talk to you about one thing that makes this Camry really special and kind of beckons back to the roots of like old Toyota. And that's the mechanical and the notchiness of everything. Your shifter isn't just some electronic selector. It's not some spin wheel. It's actually connected, and you can feel that when you shift from park to drive or if you go into a manual mode. You also have hard buttons for your infotainment system. That's becoming rarer and rarer and really nice to have, especially because this touchscreen, it's okay, it doesn't look the best, but it's always nice to have these shortcut buttons. And also you have HVAC controls with a nice little feedback and notchiness to it. It's not totally electric. It doesn't have the weighting that the Lexus knobs feel, but it feels really good. All right, I'm gonna switch out of manual mode, back into regular, put it in normal, not sport. And because we need to talk about the fact that this is still a Camry and this is still a Toyota, and that's ultimately what it is under the skin. And it's good that it is, because it's still extremely comfortable. The ride, while being a little bit firmer and a little bit more harsh over bumps, you get a little bit less, noise isolation within the cabin, but it's still incredibly comfortable. Like, I can sit here for hours and not be fatigued. We took it on a long road trip with my wife yesterday just to get out of the apartment for a while, and it was comfortable. There's plenty of room for all of our stuff. We are in the business of moving, we're in the process of moving to a house, so we picked up a bunch of boxes from my parents, and it all fit in the trunk and the back seats. And this is still a practical, reliable, good sedan from Toyota. So you still have all of that, solid name behind it and all of that dependability and reliability, but it's just dialed up a notch. There's not really a compromise here in that aspect. Okay, so now the last thing that I want to talk to you about is price. And you can get one of these for around $31,000, which is a fantastic value for what you're getting here. You're getting a naturally aspirated V6 with over 300 horsepower. You're not seeing really any V6s in this segment anymore. And you get all of the theater along with the body kit and some of the interior dramaticisms, but you still retain that mechanical kind of sport heritage feel to it. And all of that to be considered, that you can have all of that performance and that fun and that little bit of extra drama on your daily commute for the same price as what you would get for a mid-range CR-V. There's a huge value proposition here, and that ultimately is what sets this thing apart from the rest of the pack. I know I kind of bagged on the Avalon TRD for being so expensive because it was up towards 45, towards 50 grand, but this at 31 in the low 30s is well below the average transaction price for a new car and has a serious value proposition right here, with it being so affordable, with it being so reliable, comfortable, and there's really no compromises here. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you stay tuned and watch the 5 worst things about this car right up here.